a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Hey yo, demigods! It's me, Editing Charlie, here with an announcement. Hey, guess what? I have a new podcast. Me and my buddy Robert, you know the damn meme page, Robert Gamer. They're pretty cool. We now have a Steven Universe podcast. Yeah, that's right. And it's on the network. It's awesome. It's cool. And our trailer is already out for that right now. So we are The Bits, a Steven Universe podcast, and we are on all the podcatchers at the moment. And this Friday, get it? French fries, because it's the bits. It's fried bits. The bits. Yeah. This Friday, our first episode will be coming out. So wait for that. It's gonna be great. Yeah! Woo!
We are
Not the crystal gems.
We are the Bits,
The bits.
a Steven Universe review podcast
Celebrating the 10th anniversary.
of a show that's very near and dear to our hearts,
So get ready to cry with us
and try our best not to sing.
as we rewatch one of the gayest shows of the 2010s,
New episodes coming out to you every Friday.
featuring your favorite host, Charlie.
And Robert.
The cave opened onto a green meadow. On the left was a grove of cedar trees, and on the right, a huge flower garden. 4 fountains gurgled in the meadow, each shooting water from the pipes of stone satyrs. Straight ahead, the grass sloped down to a rocky beach. The waves of a lake lapped against the stones. I could tell it was a lake because, well, I just could. Fresh water, not salt. The sun sparkled on the water, and the sky was pure blue. It seemed like a paradise, which immediately made me nervous. You deal with mythological stuff for a few years, you learn that paradises are usually places where you get killed. The girl with the braided caramel hair, the one who'd called herself Calypso, was standing at the beach, talking to someone. I couldn't see him very well in the shimmer from the sunlight off the water, but they appeared to be arguing. I tried to remember what I knew about Calypso from the old myths. I'd heard the name before, but I couldn't remember. Was she a monster? Did she trap heroes and kill them? But if she was evil, why was I still alive? I walked toward her slowly, because my legs were still stiff. When the grass changed to gravel, I looked down to keep my balance. And when I looked up again, the girl was alone. She wore a white, sleeveless Greek dress, with a low, circular neckline trimmed in gold. She brushed at her eyes, like she'd just been crying. Welcome to Of the Eldest Gods, where we discuss Rick Riordan's role as our godly parent.
I'm Raye from Cabin 12.
And I'm Charlie from Cabin 13.
And I'm Sam from Cabin 11.
Hey,
Hi, Sam!
It's
I'm
Sam!
here! It's so
Sam's
exciting.
here.
I feel like I haven't been on in forever.
No! Oh, God! Okay, well, I'm turning off my camera, just in case.
Just in the middle of you saying I haven't been here forever, it bleeps you out.
Just gone. No
Yeah.
boy for us.
This is what happens. I'm a demigod. You didn't know this?
You just repel the technology.
Yeah.
The monsters are actually in the internet now, if you didn't know. That's how they got modernized.
Yeah. If you
In our
didn't know,
version.
the Force was just actually a demigod's trying to interact with technology. Like, that's what the Force is. Come on, guys.
Whoa there, so many fandoms. Sam, it's been so long, and you really wanted these chapters, or this chapter.
I know. I like I peek behind the curtain. I may have accidentally reserved this chapter a lot earlier than some other creators were put their names
Like
down
a
for
book
certain
ago?
chapters. Yeah.
You're just like, I really want to be on for Calypso. I
It's-
want to know why.
Calypso
For me,
stan.
it is a really endearing plot line that we get through this book, and it's so hard to say things without spoiling. It is one of my favorite plot lines. And maybe in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years time, actually probably a lot longer than that. There's another reason why it's one of my favorites. Safe to say, this Calypso is not a once-off character, and I think that the way that Rick sets her up here is amazing.
You like the one that got away plot. You really like that?
I love how Percy is given this choice to kind of say "fuck you" to everyone. After her, a pretty stressful 11 preceding chapters / few books. And I think this is the start of the overall arc of these books. Like, this is not the actual start, but this is where you can start to see Percy being given like a few options as to what to do. And it is very interesting to see how he reacts.
Yeah.
I love that. And I'm very excited to talk more about like the implications of this and this choice and stuff. But before we get into it, let's do the stuff.
Yeah, what happened in this chapter?
Yeah. There's really not a lot to say. Percy takes a permanent vacation, quote unquote. No, he doesn't.
It's not permanent.
Come on, Rick. False advertising. It's clickbait. Anyways.
Rick is an early 2000s YouTuber.
I'm just gonna say it here. I think Rick Riordan invented clickbait. Like...
All right, so Percy, my boy, my son and guy, he almost died, but he's fine. Mostly because he has been gently nursed back to health by the lovely Calypso, who, is going through some Florence Nightingale shit, all that. They plant glowing flowers. It's cute as heck. Basically, we are in an ideal cottagecore manic pixie existence. Like, that's the whole vibe.
Is this a Hallmark movie? Like, just randomly, like, in the middle of a Percy Jackson?
Yes.
This is also like,
so they're like
Percy's beach board era.
I wish it was, though. Sadly, he looks too sickly and burnt up.
He's like dying. Hephaestus drops by. He lays some knowledge on the boy on how to navigate the labyrinth and whatnot. Percy and Calypso say goodbye together because no one can have nice things, apparently. And then he sails off to head back to Camp Half-Blood. Not a plot-heavy chapter, my dudes.
Really not.
As you might expect.
This is like a random slice of life, but it's like not... I don't know how to describe this chapter.
It's giving so very colonial Greek, colonial tale where, someone gets washed overboard onto a random island and the local native savage nurses them back to health. And then, they kind of fuck them over in some way, shape, or form.
It's the random tragic romance novel, but in the fucking middle of a middle grade book. Why?
Yeah, the vibe is really interesting. It's like very like classic tragic romance for like no reason. It doesn't follow like the narrative that you expect from modern media stuff. It's just like, well, that happened, bye.
Yeah, chapter 12, the plot of Forbidden Love, Every Forbidden Love. Rick did really write it very concisely, though. I was reading it, I was like, wait, we're at the end of the chapter? Like, this is done?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that recently, that like, as effective as these books were as a kid, as an adult, this writing style seems very efficient, for lack of a better word. Like, stuff just happens.
It doesn't not hold the emotional value that, like, I still remember it to hold, but it's, as you say, efficient, to say the least.
It's episodic, is how he writes. He writes like it's a TV show. Because, there's going to be a show.
Woo!
Hey. Oh my god. When we get to Calypso in like, I don't know how many years that'll take. 5 years, maybe?
It's very fascinating as well because I've only read this chapter. I actually haven't read any of the previous chapters. And this book is one of the books in the series that I really struggle to remember. It's not the worst one, but it's the one I struggle a little bit to remember. And trying to place what goes before and after this chapter based on what Percy's talking about was very fascinating.
Yes, this one specifically, I remember a lot of scenes, but I do not remember the overarching plot well. You know, every time that we've done something, I'm like, oh yes, that set piece burned into my brain. And yet somehow I couldn't tell you beforehand what the Battle of the Labyrinth was like about.
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of amazed how far we are into this book right now without having gotten to some of the stuff.
I couldn't remember the exact order of everything, but I did remember the things that have happened. Like,
right.
I'm still like, yeah, okay, cool. I got this. I just couldn't remember, the exact beats. Last Olympian, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't remember what happens to Last Olympian.
I think I remember the end and maybe the beginning. No, wait, I remember the beginning and the end, definitely. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to cry right now. So let's talk about Calypso, my dudes. In case you missed it. All right. So let's see how Rick did Calypso and if he did her correctly or not.
Did he do my girl justice?
For everyone listening, I may have made a comment before we started recording about how accurate I thought Calypso was without reading any of the mythology.
How about this? I think I like Rick's version better.
Interesting.
I don't always love Rick's version better, but sometimes he makes characters a little bit less weird.
I think it's more age appropriate, and it keeps the agency of the characters he's already written.
You say age appropriate, and yet she's like this is like a vampire romance, where there's an age difference. She's like a fucking goddess, and Percy's like 14.
That's literally the premise of the story, though.
Yeah.
These gods are fucking mortals all the time.
Yeah. Alright, so Calypso. Interesting etymology here. Her name is she who conceals. To cover, to hide, to conceal is what her name means.
Interesting.
Okay, alright. So she hides things. Creepy. I like the vibes. So she's technically a nymph, I guess. I've heard either Titaness or goddess or nymph. It depends on who's talking. And she lives on Ogygia. Yes, I can say that one because Rick tells you how to say it in the book.
Yeah, there's a phonetic thing in there for once.
Thank you, Rick, for the first time.
I think this is the greatest plot point that Rick has ever come up with, is that Percy's discovering this world pretty much alongside us. And so, things like Ogygia is oh, okay, that is a totally valid thing that Percy cannot pronounce.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's in I don't remember if he does this for the King Chronicles, but I know in Heroes and onward he starts having stuff in the back of the books to explain who these people are. I don't remember if there's a pronunciation guides, but there's definitely okay, we spit out a lot of names at you. Here's what all these things are.
What do you call that in the back of a book? I can make a reference.
Index?
God.
No, not an index.
Maybe. I know that there's a word for it, and it is not coming to my brain. Anyways.
Yeah.
But that's a good idea for these sorts of things.
Yeah, exactly. Good shit. So she held Odysseus captive for 7 years on her island. That is the story. But let's see. Her parents. We have some questions here. So yes, maybe it was Atlas and possibly Pleione, who are the exact parents we get for Zoe Nightshade. Even though I think when we talked about the Hesperides, their mother Pleione was not an option. So I don't know. I just think that's really weird and interesting. Also, possibly Oceanus and Tethys, who are the super old titans of the sea. So she's got some ocean stuff going on here. 'Cause Pleione's also like a ocean water goddess. Calypso is also a name on the list of Nereids. Maybe she's the same character, maybe not. So like more water things. And then just to add in more things, remember how Percy was like, oh yeah, I met a sorceress on an island before. Her name was Circe. She was evil. Is Calypso going to be evil? Well, guess what? Maybe Calypso also had the same parents as Circe. And sometimes it's literally said that they are sometimes confused because of their connection to Odysseus and how they keep him captive on their islands.
Oh, yeah.
So
fascinating.
Yeah, literally both in the Odyssey, both keep him captive. I want to say he's only on like Circe's island for like 3 years or something, so it's like shorter than Calypso, but still. So yeah, she wanted to.
It's fascinating that Rick uses the same plot point here, like as you said, very much related to Circe, and we've just we've had the book beforehand. It feels like a very similar stuck on an island. Can't really leave.
The vibe is so different, though. Like,
it is a completely different vibe, but like objectively, the plot is like very similar.
Yeah,
that is how mythology be, though.
Yeah, I
suppose. So Odysseus was like kept on her island because she wanted an immortal husband, and they fucked a lot canonically.
Yeah, okay.
Unclear if it was consensual, but like maybe a little bit. But then Odysseus is like, he gets bored and he really misses his wife. Like he was happy for 7 years there, and then he's like, man, I miss my wife and my son. I want to leave. So he like goes to the beach and cries about it. Then she assaults him.
Oof.
Fun. So Athena sees this and asks for his release from the island. Okay. Do the gods have him like trapped on this island specifically? It's kind of unclear how he got trapped on this island, I think. Because I'm pretty sure this is the beginning of like the Odyssey, is he's trapped there.
Yeah, from what I'm reading here, like the gods know that he's trapped there. And they're like, well, whatever, like it doesn't really matter. And then he gets assaulted and they're like, well, maybe he should leave.
Yeah, because it's okay for guys to assault women, but like women assaulting men? No, we can't have that, right? Double standards.
Ooh.
So yeah, so Zeus has Hermes tell Calypso to set Odysseus free, because it's not his destiny to live with her there forever, I guess. Okay, I love the fact that Calypso gets angry over literally the double standard that we're talking about. That like the gods can have affairs with mortals, but the goddesses can't.
Yeah.
Like,
it's actually a very interesting commentary, because if you think about the gods and goddesses, a lot of the goddesses, some of them have taken, vows of celibacy. Some have turned around and gone, I'm going to procreate through my mind. But like a lot of them don't end up being inherently sexual creatures like Zeus is, because let's be honest, Zeus is more animal than human at this point in our heads. And we don't hear their romping sexual conquests.
Yeah, I think we only have like one male Greek figure who like chose celibacy, or like not like no partners, no sex or anything, and that was Hippolytus, who got killed for it. So it's like, oof. Men kind of have to be sexual in the Greek stuff. Women can't. You know how it is. We love those.
Amazing how little things have changed.
Yeah, we love that. No, we don't. It sucks. Okay, so she provides him with materials to build a boat. There's no magic boat that appears. Calypso is like, yeah, you want it off the island? Go build yourself a freaking boat. Leave. Why don't you? But she does
think
give
that
him
Percy
supplies.
Summoned the boat? When Percy made it,
it's canonical in PGO that like the boat will appear for her, or the guy or whatever.
Yeah, the raft is just like there.
Yeah, the raft exists when she and whoever fall in love and they choose to leave her. That is the canon magic of how that works. That's all I got.
There's also another island in this story where she leads Odysseus to an island where he can like make his boat.
Yeah, I'm so confused by that. Sure. Also, she sometimes has children by him. There's a few that I cannot pronounce the names of. Yeah. So possibly like 3 kids by Odysseus. Interesting. Okay, Raye, remember we read the Epic of Gilgamesh. Remember that?
We sure did.
This is comparing Odysseus and Calypso to Gilgamesh and
Oh.
Yeah, you remember that lady, Siduri, who made like she's the what's it called? She makes wine and alcohol and stuff.
Brewer? I don't know what else you would say. But yes, I had forgotten about her. That was, that does have the same vibes.
I feel like it's less creepy than Calypso.
I feel like this trope needs like a name of like when you just like hang out somewhere for a little while and you sort of fall in love, but then you have to leave.
Yeah.
It's
like
a
whole thing.
It's a very weird, like, kind of side plot where, like, you don't really expect it. Like, through this whole book, Percy's, like, kind of discovering that girls exist. And that girls can be jealous of each other. Like, we've got to remember in the first chapter, Annabeth throws a hissy fit because he's, like, with Rachel Elizabeth Dare. And, you know, Percy's like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And Annabeth is like, you know what you did wrong.
Percy,
like, I don't know.
Percy has entered his hoe era in this book. Let's be honest.
The ladies are all over our boy.
Like he's got 3 different girls now in this book. They all want him.
And I think Annabeth doesn't take spoilers for next chapter. Annabeth doesn't take very kindly to the fact that he was stuck on this island with this incredibly hot woman.
I think we can all infer that was going to happen based on the Rachel things. So, I mean, it's spoilery, but it's fine. We can infer that was going to happen. I do like this little thing that's like, Calypso detained Odysseus because of Poseidon, because, you know, because of the whole, like, Odysseus blinded his son, the Cyclops, and Poseidon was freaking angry. So, you know, Poseidon's half the reason Odysseus didn't make it home. I think that makes sense, that maybe they were working together. Also, one version where Calypso just kills herself because she loved Odysseus and is sad about it.
It's very Romeo and Juliet.
I want better for her. I really do. I also really like that just like one of her consorts is Hermes. Here, because I'm just like, well, I mean, he's the messenger god. He can get around, you know? I think that's why.
That's when Percy's like, who was that? And she's like, a messenger. That's because her boyfriend dropped by.
Literally. I did have like a false memory of this chapter where I thought it was Hermes who visited Percy, because I was just like, oh yeah, like Calypso and Hermes, they canonically have a thing, so like that would make sense that it's Hermes in the chapter. And I'm like, it's Hephaestus? Why? It should be Hermes.
I get why though. Hermes' plotline at this point has been focused so much on Luke. If Hermes rocked up here, I think there would be a very different conversation that would have been had. And I think that Percy would have stayed. You're probably right.
But yeah, definitely the messenger that we get in the chapter was also Hermes, her fuck buddy. Canonically, just saying.
We just don't make the rules here, so don't argue with us.
I make the rules. I say that they're a thing. That's my ship.
Okay, but Rick playing around with ages here has made a lot of things very weird.
Yeah, it really has.
Why is she like 16?
Yeah. Unless y'all have comments about the art here, which is like, you know, it's very just like beautiful women.
It's cool. Very European. Naked woman on the beach. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I hate to be this derogatory. Naked woman with her boobs out on the beach. That's about it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's a naked woman. Oh, we got a Hermes and Calypso one. I'm sorry, that's gonna be my ship now. But like mythological Hermes and Calypso, not Brick's versions.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, let's talk about this chapter and the very important plot that happens in.
You know, Rick is really just a master at like setting up and like playing the long game. Like this is like one of the things that like when I read the last few chapters of the Last Olympian, I think that's what it's called. I like think back to like this experience as other couple of key points in these few books as the arc kind of dies down that I go, there's a reason why Percy decides what he does. And I think a lot of it's got to do with his experience with people like Calypso.
Yeah. I mean, this definitely is important for his journey. I will say that. Even if it does feel very strange and out of place in the books, it has its reason for being here.
Well, but I like that it feels strange also. Like, it feels like that's the point, that it's like almost dreamlike.
Yeah. Also, like, we've seen Rick really does love doing this, where this book and the last book, there's been this like pause at like just about halfway through where Percy's sat and like recouped himself. Actually, in all the books except for the first one, I think, that we've read so far, there's a pause where Percy like recollects himself, re-energizes himself, and he comes back in for the final however many pages of the book, you know. And we know that we've got a bit of a battle coming up, like based on the
battle of the labyrinth. You mean the I'm waiting for the battle to happen. I mean, I know things, but
yeah,
we haven't gotten a battle yet.
We certainly have not.
This title is false advertising.
I do think pacing wise, it's a bit strange to have like a pause chapter halfway through a book, but you know, whatever. I think it works as a kid.
It works for me. Like the falling action after, you know, the big old shit from last chapter.
The falling action? Because he literally fell into the ocean. I'm glad that he fell in the ocean and not just like in the middle of the islands.
Right?
And I love how like Poseidon's like, ain't dying today. Here's a cushiony bit of water. Imagine going that speed and water being cushiony. Anyway.
I mean,
that's an established power of Percy since book 1.
I'm imagining like a scene from the finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where like literally Aang uses water to like cushion himself as he's falling. So
I would like to remind everyone. I don't think that's how physics work,
but I do like it.
I was about to say, I would like to remind everyone that water has surface tension and belly flops exist.
Yes, but Percy is one with the water, as we've learned recently in like a couple chapters ago. Just so you know, Sam, Percy's one with the water.
Poor Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, for real.
It's fine.
Also, it links back to real life events. Like, Mount St. Helens did erupt and like explode and everything. Like, this is
I was right. Okay, cool. We definitely had this chat like last chapter.
Yeah, as a kid, I remember reading about it in like a National Geographic magazine because locals didn't realize that Mount St. Helens was so swollen before it exploded, basically.
That mountain was going to have a baby, and the baby was explosives. I'm sorry. So yeah, we don't know how old Calypso is. We see her for the first time. She's gorgeous. That's all that matters. She's gorgeous. This is a vampire romance novel.
She has a beach spot on.
Yeah. I will say we don't get a lot of like Calypso's personality. This is a very idealized like
what's the trope here?
Pretty girl.
Like,
because it's not quite Manic Pixie Dream Girl. You're right.
No, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is Rachel.
Yeah, this is cottagecore fantasy. It's not even about Calypso. It doesn't feel like, but it is. But it's also about like the peace of this place and removing yourself from the hardships of real life.
What Calypso needs is for a girl to fall on this island, honestly, so we can have some cottagecore lesbians. And then
your Diamond Castle loving ass.
Listen. I always have to relate it back to Barbie.
I love how this kind of harkens back to some of the first chapters in The Lightning Thief, where Percy's just drifting in and out of consciousness, and there's this woman who keeps appearing in his vision.
Oh my
You're
god!
right. That
Shit.
is like big Annabeth core.
So, like, the way to Percy's heart is for him to, like, be almost dying and then to, like, heal him back to life. Rachel, you gotta come and do that now. Like,
It's very fascinating, though, because, like, if we think about where we are in terms of the books, we are, like, this is, like, the last pause point before we hit the last Olympian, if I'm correct, if I've done my math right. Like, this is the last... We then, like, just keep going from here. We don't stop. So it does feel like we've gone back to the start, and we're, like, resetting completely after, 4 books.
I believe we get, like, one pause moment in The Last Olympian, like, the first chapter, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's just, like, it goes on from there. So, but yeah, you're pretty much right there, Sam.
Sorry. I do not remember much of The Last Olympian.
You are fine. You're totally fine. So how do we talk about this, like, this love story happening here? I mean, Percy, he's being healed. He's in a weird cave, and he looks like shit.
I think a lot of it is, like, Stockholm syndrome, where, like, he's trapped and the only woman is, like, she's incredibly beautiful, not denying that, but, like, at the same time, Percy...
She's not holding him captive, though.
No.
Right. So
it's not
Stockholm
quite
syndrome
Stockholm
isn't
syndrome.
the right word quite. That's why I brought up the Florence Nightingale thing, is because, like, that's more the vibe, is that, like, she falls in love with him because she was taking care of him. Like, she seems to be inordinately fond of him, like, even before he wakes up.
I don't think Percy is that interested in her either, to be honest.
Well, they seem to have, like, this very, like, basic attraction to each other, where I don't think that they really know each other that well, but, like, they can both, like, feel this, like, chemistry between them that, makes them want to know each other better, or just to hang out. And I think that the environment does have a lot to do with it.
And
I think that Percy is also hugely empathetic, and that seeing someone who's lonely like this makes him want to stay with her. Like, he wants to help her so bad.
Absolutely.
Yes. The golden retriever energy in this chapter is quite high. And I think also the other thing that really highlights to me why I don't think, like, Percy admits that she's a beautiful woman, like, but he doesn't really say much more about, like, it's very much like a weird, it is a general attraction, but it's, like, not on the same level as his attraction to, say, Annabeth is, where, beyond, the physical and intellectual, there's an emotional attraction, whereas he's, feeling emotionally sympathetic, as you said.
I do like the description of Calypso a lot. Percy says that he's seen the goddess of love herself, Aphrodite, and I would never say this out loud or she'd blast me to ashes, but for my money, Calypso was a lot more beautiful because she just seemed so natural. Like, she wasn't trying to be beautiful and didn't even care about that. She just was. She seemed to glow in the moonlight. Like, Rick puts a lot of work into making it seem, like, very legitimate, this, like, very quick romance that they have.
I do hate that, like, that he's making Aphrodite out to be like that, but in contrast, I do like how Calypso is. So.
I think also Percy still has the heebie-jeebies about Aphrodite after the last interaction he had with her. And to be honest, like, the way that Aphrodite acts and, like, exists, I think puts someone like Percy, who bases a lot of his attraction on intellectual stimulation and a relationship rather than physical attraction. Aphrodite makes him uncomfortable because Aphrodite, at least from his perspective, is a lot about physical attraction rather than a romance.
Percy is only just now figuring out what physical attraction is. Like,
yeah.
He's not the most comfortable with it.
Yeah. So Calypso she feels so, like, comfortable around Percy, even though, like, she's only seen him unconscious. So, like, she just, like, kind of, like, brushes her hands through his hair, and he's like, what What? I don't know you. What's happening?
Let's be honest,
He
though.
doesn't seem upset about it, though.
Yeah, but let's be honest, though. Percy spills most of his information while unconscious. Like, the most dangerous thing for Percy to be when he's trying to keep his secret is unconscious, because he will tell you.
My God. So he told her his name, Annabeth, Grover, and Tyson. He told her everything while he was unconscious. What the fuck? Oh my God.
So, like, you can get Calypso's, like, perspective here, which is that she hasn't seen anyone in, like, 1,000 years or some bullshit. And then she gets some guy who's, like, horribly injured, he's super pathetic, and he just keeps, like, mumbling in his sleep about how he's gotta go save his friends. Like, how could you get more, like, pitiable? Like, this poor woman... What is she supposed to do? Not fall in love with him? Come on now.
And this is the thing: she hasn't seen a man that isn't a god that's imprisoning her in however long. Like, of course, she's going to be attracted to the first man that comes along and shows her kindness.
It's so sad. Oh, so Agigia exists everywhere and nowhere. It's a phantom island.
It's a pocket dimension. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Literally, that's what it is. But God, she just keeps telling him, "Oh, you gotta heal. I'm not actually evil. Like, I'm not gonna turn you into a guinea pig. It's fine."
Did anyone read through? Because I'm assuming, Charlie, you and I have read this a couple of times before. Read Mount St. Helens and think of Bill Wirtz and his Mount St. Helens
I literally brought that up last episode.
Oh.
I was like...
I'm too good at this.
Yeah.
I'm super gonna post that on the Twitter when that episode comes out, because I love that song.
You have to. It's required.
It's iconic.
Okay, in this chapter, we actually get, like, 2 mentions of Zoe, because, like, first we gotta be like, oh, hey, look at the stars. Look up there. There's Zoe. And then you gotta mention that Calypso is a daughter of Atlas. So we gotta mention, oh, yeah, I knew a daughter of Atlas. She was cool. Why are you evil? Or why do the gods think you're evil?
Typical Percy. Why are you evil?
Literally. So they plant some cute little flowers. But Percy's like, what does it do? It doesn't do anything. It's a flower. It's a flower.
It lives and it's pretty and it glows.
It's such a
and doesn't need to do anything else. I do like that also. I feel like it's also like a metaphor for like the existence that they could have on this place. It lives and it's beautiful and it doesn't have any other purpose. It isn't gonna change things in the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also it's a very much a New York mindset, or like anyone who lives in a really quite dense and big city where you don't necessarily have to leave the city for anything, that like everything has a purpose and a use. Like, I've definitely felt that way before. And like now coming and living out here in the country, I'm like, it doesn't have to have a purpose or use. It can just be there.
Makes sense. And I feel like that also shows like the difference between Percy and Calypso's just like mindsets as people. Percy is very goal oriented.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's sad that he can't have a garden and also doesn't understand how like cities work, I guess. There's not a lot of space to just have your own garden. Yeah, so this is her punishment. Because she sided with her father. We don't know exactly what she did though. Like I think that's the story we're missing here is what did she do besides side with him?
Right. I do feel like I need more details because her punishment is cruel and unusual, but also is like we've said, it's very nice there.
Percy
So it's
like Percy in his head is like, this is a fully justified thing for the gods to do based on the fact that you sided with Atlas. But
he's not really.
Yeah, like
Percy doesn't think this is justified.
He also like, I think this is the other bit that I find very fascinating. Is that, you know, he Calypso is like young to him, like, you know, 15, 16. I was like, well, maybe she made this decision to side with her father while quite young and immature, and now, you know, she's paying the price for it.
That does seem to be theme, a pattern in these books, is that a lot of these figures get kind of aged down, which makes you sympathize with them more, with their bad decisions more, because when you're a kid, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's like, okay, but are the Titans evil? Like, all of them? All of the time? Do you know them? Really? And
I do
truth
like
is, we
that little bit of
don't.
nuance there. That's very interesting.
Like, we don't actually know them. We don't know all of the Titans. We know Kronos and Atlas. Like, are those the only Titans we've actually met, I think?
I think so.
I think so.
So, yeah, we don't know that they're all bad. We just know that, like, Kronos specifically and Atlas, who's supporting him, wanted bad shit to happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I want to know what she did to justify this
She
freaking
might be
island.
quite.
Yes.
She might have been quite powerful, like back in her day.
She
And-
is a magic user.
Yeah,
She's
and
a
this-
sorceress. This is true.
And this is probably where, like, the gods are like, we can't trust you. Like, as much as you can probably prove to us that you're not a threat anymore, we can't trust you. And especially now, like, as the gods are, like, out and about trying to make sure everyone's on the correct side of this theoretical, upcoming conflict, they're like, well, of course we can't, like, let Calypso go. That's not how this is going to work.
Maybe they were like, we gotta send Percy down there to see what's up with her as, like, the Titan War is, like, coming about. Like, they know stuff's about to happen with Titan shit. So, like, they gotta send someone to see what's going on with Calypso.
Maybe.
I
I do understand, like, why she would be imprisoned, but my god, like, the emotional, like,
the
attack.
Just have her imprisoned. Like, you don't need the whole, like, oh yes, well, you can, like, fall in love, but, like, for a little bit, and then they gotta leave you. Like, that's fucking terrible. Can we not have that part on top of it?
That is what we like to do in our Greek mythology, though. There's a reason.
Torture
that,
women?
Like, it's all
Torture
fucked
women.
up. Torture everybody. We know about all them guys in the underworld. We got Sisyphus and Tantalus
Okay,
and all
but-
them dudes.
But the guys in the underworld, they kind of deserve it. So, Tantalus did horrible shit. Sisyphus, he tried to escape death. He kidnapped Thanatos. Okay?
Yeah, that's fucked up of him.
Sisyphus deserves
But
it.
again, we don't know what Calypso has actually done.
This is true. And in the mythology, it's not a punishment. She's just lives there. That's it. She
Mhm.
just lives there.
Yeah,
So-
I do think what Rick has done with this character is really interesting.
It's
And I
definitely
do
made her
think
way
that-
more endearing as a character.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that her, like, family perspective is also really interesting, but I kind of don't buy the explanation that Percy supports the gods because that's his family. Like, and that kind of, like, struck me wrong, because I feel like Percy is supporting, like, the status quo at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't
Because-
support the gods. He kind of
Right.
hates a few of the gods.
Yeah,
So
literally.
he's just supporting the world to exist and people to not die, I think.
Yeah, he's trying to prevent disaster. But, he does have a certain amount of loyalty to his dad, even if he doesn't want to admit that to himself or anyone
Correct.
else.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more major goal is, like, trying to stop shit from going bad.
Yeah, exactly. So Hephaestus appears in a column of fire.
Love that biblical shit.
That is
Yes.
some real fun things. He sits down at the dinner table, has a Pepsi, and has a chat with Percy.
Doesn't necessarily have the Pepsi, but it receives the Pepsi on himself.
Yeah, it's great. So he explains, like, what's going on. Percy really did blow up that mountain. You know why? Because Poseidon is the Earthshaker. This was Percy's Earthshaker powers. I think
Mhm.
I think that confirms it. It wasn't water powers. It was
Well, I mean, water was definitely involved, but yeah.
but it was the other stuff too.
You could argue lava is water rock.
I don't
Let's-
know. I don't
I
know if Percy has control over liquids.
I think Avatar: The Last Airbender would argue that no, lava bending goes under earth bending. So
This is not Avatar: The Last Airbender.
So pretty
Yes, it
fucked
is.
up that Percy displaced like 1 million fucking people. Oh, 500,000, my bad.
It's only 500,000. That's fine. We don't care. But more importantly, he awakened Typhon. Like he's kind of important. He's kind of a big bad, maybe.
He's kind of like a big deal.
Just a little bit, maybe. Yeah, you awakened a horrible monster, bro. That's not great. But also, Hephaestus finally is like, hey, Percy, remember how, like, my mom said you knew the thing all along? Yeah, you really knew the thing all along. I'm here to remind you what you already knew. And it's the Ariadne shit.
Yeah. I do love how Percy's like, I'm not that powerful. And Hephaestus is like, you sure about that?
My dude.
Legit, he almost died using that power. He's pretty freaking powerful, okay?
This is not a display that we have seen before from Percy. Like, who knew?
God, imagine if the last chapter was like, I accidentally vaporized myself. I think that's what it should have been.
Full circle, baby.
Oh my goodness. So Ariadne was how Theseus made it through the maze. Because she had some clear sight, potentially. She could see very clearly. Okay.
A regular mortal. Fascinating.
Quote unquote regular mortal. Not a drop of blood. God. Not a drop of godly blood in her. I can't word things. That is some bullshit, Rick. Seriously? Both of her parents were demigods. Her dad was a son of Zeus. Her mom was a daughter of Helios. Just saying.
They're royalty. Maybe they were just lying. I feel like royalty does that.
Fucking hell.
It's fascinating that this book, we've spoken about it a lot in the previous few chapters, but we talk a lot about the mist. Like, even within the labyrinth, but, you know, also the particular person that Percy now knows is his way through the labyrinth. And it's a very fascinating kind of like little aside where like Percy is like really exploring what the mist means, and kind of Rick as well is kind of just trying to define the mist here and to kind of set it up for the future.
Yeah.
I'm glad we get it
cool.
here this early on in terms of all of the books and series, because imagine trying to define, you know, exactly how the mists work, you know, halfway through the next series.
Yeah. So Percy's just like, okay, well, I guess I know the way through the labyrinth, but will Daedalus even help us? Like, he kind of sucked. You were right about him. But Hephaestus is like, okay, I know I said he sucked, but like also he tried to help people and his life
and then
got
it ruined his
because of
life.
Literally.
But Hephaestus also gives us like a little bit of like him empathizing with Daedalus.
Yeah.
It isn't easy being a brilliant inventor, always alone, always misunderstood.
He's just so misunderstood, you know. Yeah, so Hephaestus nopes out. And then Percy's just like, what do? I have to make a choice. How dare these gods make a bisexual boy like Percy make a choice? He's indecisive, but...
Does that mean I'm bisexual?
I mean, I'm not going to tell you your identity, Sam.
You tell us, Samuel. No, but...
If this is your coming out.
No, that is the bisexual joke, though.
Yeah,
like,
that
my God.
That bisexuals are indecisive, can't choose anything to save their lives.
Which is a fucking mood. All right. I wanted to bring this up at some point. Let's do it now. All right, guys. Are you staying on the island with Calypso? What's the vibe?
I mean, the question is, am I being offered Calypso or Annabeth just like Percy is?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the question.
Well, you're not being offered Annabeth. Like,
no, but
you are not Percy. You are
okay.
you.
If I'm just like me, I think I'd probably just go with Calypso.
Yeah,
because what else am I gonna do?
Okay. Now imagine that you are in a situation similar to Percy. Not the romance stuff. I don't care.
How
but like people are counting on you. Like there's people in danger, but
so
you could just like nope out of the entire situation.
So again, I feel like that there's like a specific thing about Percy's situation that would make me want to choose to like help and like leave, because if Percy stays there and he escapes his prophecy, it's Nico who has to do the prophecy shit.
Yeah.
And so what Percy's really doing is he's like, I have to do this. I have to like save this small child from having to deal with this in like 5 years. So
he's
let me
making
do it.
The opposite choice that Thalia made. Like,
literally.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. Is like, this is what Thalia did in last book, where she was
just
like,
passed
I gotta
the buck on to Percy.
She
I
did
gotta
it
escape
so
this.
quickly, though, without even thinking about like the fact that, you know, this would impact other people. Whereas Percy, and I feel I relate to Percy way more in this chapter. And I think this is where I realized that Percy and I are very similar, because Percy's like thinking about all the people he's leaving behind and living in limbo. And like part of me, like, if there was nothing else going on, I probably would stay. But if I had something going on or needed to come back, you know, for a life and death situation, I would be coming back in a heartbeat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The problem is that none of us are ever going to be on the island of Calypso, because we're not the sort of people who would want to leave. So
how freaking dare!
Nah,
Come
I ain't
on.
got shit going on. I would stay with that girl in a fucking heartbeat. My God.
Give me this cottagecore girl on this island. I mean, I think
this is my
I'd
dream
miss
life, honestly.
I think I'd miss the technology just a little bit. Like, I love the
True.
cottagecore, but like, I also need some tech. Can we get a little bit of both, please? Thank you.
But girlfriend.
I think that's the important part here.
What was I about to say? I don't know.
Also the fact that Percy would be immortal if he stayed on the island.
Yes. Very interesting.
Very interesting. I'm gonna move swiftly on from that.
I was going to say, it reminds me of, we might save that one for later. It'll be useful later.
Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe it's important, maybe it's not. So yeah, Calypso finally fully explains the curse of like that she has to like fall in love with whoever is on this island she's cursed to by the fates. Fuck them.
Yeah, literally. That's so fucked up. Hey, why are there invisible servants on this island? That is also deeply fucked. What's their like, this seems like it's a punishment for them and not her.
Follow-up question. Do you have to see someone die to be able to see the servants as they are instead of invisible?
God.
Has Percy not seen someone die?
He's seen
The
plenty of
monsters
monsters
seen
die,
somebody
but I
die.
don't think
The
that
monsters not count.
counts.
Okay, I will bring back that in the first book he killed Krusty, who was not a monster but a demigod.
Yes. Yeah, he cut off a guy's head, literally, so
I think Percy can see invisible things. Anyway. So Percy does not take her offer of companionship, quote unquote.
And we haven't really mentioned that the whole time she seems very sad, and she's very clearly like, you know, like coyly pulling back a little bit, not in a coy manner, like in a sad manner.
Yeah, and oh my god, I know how this is gonna end. I can't let myself fall for him again. But like, she's falling anyway. It's already happening. She
So
knows.
Calypso keeps going, like, she doesn't even want to mention the fact that there is a choice. Like,
Yeah.
she has been telling herself this whole time that she's not even going to bring it up. But then, you know, Percy is like, you know, the sweetest guy, and he wants to help her.
Mhm.
And he seems like he would almost be down. And so she has to, like, have that little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Once again. And yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the dingiest little boat appears, and it's apparently seaworthy, and it's magic, and it'll go wherever Percy wants it to go. But you know what? Percy can never come back to see Calypso. He can never visit her. So
keep that one in your brain for later as well, everyone.
Yeah, for like 10 years in the future. Oh my god. So
That plot, okay.
he's plant a garden.
I won't mention any names, but that plot line in 10 years' time is like my favorite one. That's where I started yelling at the book because I was like, this is so good. Like, it all came full circle, and I was like, you couldn't have asked for a
We'll
better
be sure to
plot
have
line.
you. We'll be sure to have you on, Sam, for those chapters because I mostly know of people who don't like the Calypso plot lines.
Oh, I think it's very endearing. And also, he is one of my favorite characters. So
Good.
There's
We
been
also-
a lot of teas in this episode.
There's
I hope you
also a
all
lot
are
of-
enjoying it.
There's also a lot of people who don't like him specifically. So who
Oh,
knows
boy.
how much of this will be kept in the episode. But no man ever finds a Gigi twice, and Percy's gonna plant a garden in Manhattan.
Like, this is very simplistic, but it is very effective. It reminds me of the way that Percy's mom was written in, like, book 1, where it's just, like, this, like,
Yes.
very idealistic, like,
Let's-
perfect.
Let's compare Calypso to Percy's mom.
also, like, it says no man will ever find this place twice. So if you're a woman,
Maybe
I'm
we
just-
got a loophole.
I'm just saying. I think that should be what happens, is that Calypso gets a girlfriend. I have my thoughts on later things and who should have ended up on Calypso's island, but that's
Oh my
for
god.
later.
also, can we just come to terms with the fact that Percy stayed up all night trying to make a decision before he makes a decision? Like, he was really, like, this wasn't an easy decision for him to make.
And yet it is, you still get the feeling that it's, like, inevitable. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as much as it's hard, like, there was no way that Percy wasn't going back. His sense of responsibility is way too strong.
He's a good boy, okay? He's just a good boy. My dudes, that's the end of the chapter. Percy is still in his hoe era, though.
Gotta get to camp.
Hey!
Off he goes.
More Barbie references. Sam, my dude, where can the people find you on the internet?
People can find me on the internet. Oh, I don't know. Where can people? No. You can find me at Sam.
You can stalk Sam.
You can find me personally at sam.the.journalist on Instagram and on TikTok, and Sam Obi Journalist on Twitter. I recently discovered that there are actually local journalists near me that have Twitter accounts, and so I've now accidentally ended up following like live football scores for the local football tournament here, because unfortunately I do in fact write the sports section of the local newspaper here. So
Wow.
I don't know. It's been a fascinating experience writing about sport. A conversation for another day. You can find my podcast, Content and Capable, wherever you get podcasts, and also on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook. But on Instagram and Twitter, the handle is Content, the letter N, Capable. I've had Charlie, actually Ray's coming out. Raye would have already been on the podcast by the time this episode comes out. So definitely go and check that out.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Always, anytime.
Yes.
Also, my dudes, here is our plug section. What are we recommending to the listeners? Sam, you got anything for us?
Panics and pulls up lists that I've already created. Okay. I am going to plug... Oh, actually, yes. I'm going to plug the show Beef on Netflix. It is by the same studio that did Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it's this drama, and it had me and my housemate absolutely gripped. We had to watch all 10 episodes basically in like 3 or 4 sittings because it was just too engaging. Like, it was too suspenseful. It's I would definitely call it more of a drama, but there's a lot of tension throughout the whole thing. Definitely go check it out. It's got Ali Wong, who normally is a comedian, but is doing a dramatic role, and we reckon her acting is like spot on.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
My plug is going to be Bluey, because I finally watched Bluey.
There's new episodes out if you're from Australia. Definitely go check that out.
I watched all that was available on Disney Plus, and like the 2 episodes that I know of that were not released here in the US.
Boo, Disney.
I mean,
Very
I
nice.
looked to see why they were censored. I think some of it made sense to me.
Nah, it makes no sense to us Australians. We literally sit there and go, what the fuck is going on, Disney? Those 2 episodes are, like, really important.
I mean, one of the episodes I thought said a phrase that, like, was racially insensitive from what I looked on the internet.
Okay. I'd have to, like, go and revisit it. I just know that the reason Disney didn't put those ones out was because of the content they covered.
Yeah. I mean, one of them was also about dad pretending to be pregnant, which I'm like, bro, come on. Can we not?
But also, like, playing pregnant is, like, a thing kids do all the time.
Literally.
Like, yeah.
I mean, okay. We all know that, like, the Barbie movie is coming out. We've seen the promotional images. Pregnant Midge. I'm so fucking excited that we're having pregnant Midge in the Barbie movie.
Oh,
Sam?
I'm so fucking excited for the Barbie movie. Do not get me started.
But Sam, do you know the lore about pregnant Midge? Do you know this?
I don't know the lore. There's lore?
Yeah, she and
I mean,
Alan
the
are, like,
fact
highly
that
controversial because, like, it was like people started accusing Mattel of, like, promoting teenage pregnancies.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The lore is that the doll was, like, discontinued because they had a pregnant Barbie, and it's like, wow, that's it. You didn't want to have a pregnant Barbie.
But also, like, like, Alan as well also got removed because they basically accused Alan of being gay, and gay was clearly not okay for these people.
I'm sorry, have you met Ken? Have you met Kenneth Carson? That is a queer man.
Ken is the most bisexual man I've ever met in my life.
Ken and Barbie are bi for bi. You heard it here, folks. They are so bi for bi. Just like Percy and Annabeth. Anyway, Raye, did you have a plug?
I'll just, you know how I was talking about Homestuck? I'll stay on that track. I'm sorry that I like Homestuck, but actually I'm not. I was rereading some of that shit. It's pretty fucking good. But anyways, if you like adventure games and that are good and well written and interesting, Hiveswap is pretty cool. And the first act, at least, is very accessible to people who don't know anything about Homestuck. The second one, less so. Like, I would be very interested in seeing someone who has, like, no exposure to the series, like, trying that shit out, because I was like, damn, if I did not know all of these terms already, I would have no idea what the fuck is going on. But it'd be really fascinating to me to see somebody try and pick it up. So, I don't know. But yeah, Hiveswap is pretty cool.
Very, very cool stuff. Well, my friends, here we are. Y'all need to get out of my fucking cabin so I can go escape to an island and be with my cottagecore wife.
Maybe this time you're Calypso and you're telling us to get off your fucking island.
Yeah, get off my fucking island. Even though I'm in love with you, you have to go save the world, okay?
I don't wanna.
Okay, that's
I wanna
fine.
plant flowers.
It's like me
Okay,
trying to
let's
get out of
play
bed
flowers.
this morning. I
God.
don't wanna.
Hello, listeners! Editing Charlie here with a patron shoutout. If y'all didn't know, our $10 and up patrons now get a shoutout on the pod. So now, I get to shout out our lovely God Complex level patron, Matt. Matt is so wonderful and has been a supporter since we started the O-Tag Patreon. Thank you so much for all your support, bud.
You can follow this podcast socials at Of the Eldest Gods Pod on Instagram and Tumblr, and at Of the Eldest Gods on Twitter. You can send us an iris message through oftheeldestgodspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us financially, join us at patreon.com/oftheeldestgods. By becoming a patron, you can join the Deus Ex Media Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with us and other listeners about episodes and anything Percy Jackson related. Our $5 patron tier also gets you access to Against All Odds, our monthly bonus show. There, we'll talk about a wide variety of topics, which usually have something to do with mythology. No promises. You can check out our merch store on Redbubble to find custom designs made by Charlie. Or if you cannot or do not want to support us financially, we'd really appreciate a rating, a review, or letting your friends and followers know how much you love the podcast. That really helps. You can find me, Raye, at HeyHeyRaye, spelled R-A-Y-E, on Twitter. If you want to hear more from me, check out Barbie Movie Slap, a podcast where my co-host Ted and I discuss Barbie's cinematic universe. That podcast Twitter is at Barbie Slaps.
And you can follow me, Charlie, at GreenPixie12 on most platforms, but on Twitter I'm at GreenPixie123, which I'm totally not salty about. I also have an art Instagram at GreenPixieDraws. I sometimes do the YouTube thing on my channel, Charlie Mac. That's M-A-C-K. Our music was written by Isabel Strauss-Riggs and recorded and edited by Ian M. Riggs. You can find Izzy at Kane_I, that's I as in the body part, on Instagram and Twitter. She also currently makes video essays on the YouTube channel Kane I. Feel free to message her about making music for your project or editing your podcast.
Of the Oldest Gods is proud to be part of Deus Ex Media, which features great podcasts like Content and Capable that follows Sam as he tries to figure out what it truly means to adult.
Have you ever gotten so distracted in Stardew Valley that you forgot to sleep? Have you realised that you have a whole room in your house full of dolls? Or have you even bored your friends to sleep talking about your passion? Well then, Content Capable is the podcast for you. Join me, Sam, as I chat to people passionate about what they do, asking questions about how they fell in love with their passion, what they do, and how it interacts with their day-to-day lives. Catch the podcast every Monday as I find out what makes someone tick, all while gleaning interesting and insightful life lessons along the way. There'll be laughs, a bit of crying, a whole lot of conversations, and we learn just a little bit more about the world around us.
Of the Eldest Gods is based on the series by Rick Riordan. Right now, we are discussing Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Remember to follow us on your favorite podcatcher and meet us back here every Thursday. Guys, I hate to do this to you, but I have to go take a bathroom break.
Wow. How fucking
I'm so
dare you.
sorry. I'm
Early on,
so
you got no
unprofessional. I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
Ray's failed at podcasting. How dare.
I'm the new co-host.
Deus Ex Media.